Good afternoon, everyone. And I have to reiterate what Tony said. It is very doable because I got through it. In fact, digital leadership actually was my third diploma. And from there, then I actually completed the master's in business practice, actually, just there last September. So thank you to IMI. I actually got through all three, including the master's. So I'm a fountain of knowledge after it. But warm welcome. Thank you for inviting me on today. So I'm Olivia Kearney and I work for Microsoft Ireland as the marketing lead here. And you're probably thinking, like, I work in a tech company, why would I be doing digital leadership, right? And it's a pretty obvious question. But I guess what I wanted to share today was exactly that, my experience, the practical application, but also as well, and more importantly for all of us, right? When we spend this time in upskilling and really taking our own time sometimes to drive our own continuous learning, like what has been the impact from a career perspective, right? So Tony's given a really comprehensive view of the program, and I have to say it's kind of jogged my memory, Tony, on many things that I possibly will have to start adding into my notes right now. But actually, for me, first of all, in terms of the experience, what I would say actually from the IMI, and I think it's a really important thing, is it's the network that you're automatically sitting in, you know, when you're in a classroom environment. And it's not about the network for network's sake. What I really enjoyed about it is the learning you're doing is very workshop style. So it is not about academically learning. It's about, you know, absorbing principles of business that is around leadership, that's around transformation, that we're all dealing with, no matter what sector, no matter what industry you're actually in. And it's your problem solving, and you're using a lot of those other soft skills like critical thinking in those workshop sessions, with a network that's really challenging every day of those 18 days that you have with people outside of your industry. It's challenging your outside in thinking. And I have to say, that's something that you actually can't really buy. So outside of the 18 days, you're really immersed in other sectors and other industries. And you're learning about their strategic priorities, their VUCA landscape, how they're making decisions, and how they're actually applying strategic thinking to many of those challenges for continuous growth. So for me, that's the first thing. And for the second is around, it's actually the quality of the speakers and the lecturers as well. You know, Tony's intro is phenomenal. I could only dream of having 5 to 6 lines of a descriptor, you know, after my name, right? But, you know, jokes aside, it is actually about, you know, what Tony and the rest of the team bring is industry experience. And it's around the practicality of applying that. And I know Tony mentioned a moment ago, you know, there's 10 to 15 hours, you know, outside of the 18 days, you know, that you're attending. But they're the hours that are worth where you're reading to really understand and to further your kind of learning, I guess, on active projects or initiatives that you're working on behalf of your company. So, you know, you're really devising solutions, you know, for sometimes you might feel are wicked problems before you go into an IMI program. And actually they become solutionized, I'll make up a word, you know, as soon as you go through those 18 days. So what's important is that application, it's the industry expertise that you are meeting each time, and that you're distilling that knowledge across each of the modules that Tony mentioned. But it's also as well, it's the application of it is really, really important. And that digital assignment is fantastic, because if you're sitting here right now and you're thinking, oh, I'm going into kind of, I suppose for us here, it's planning stage, you know, for our next fiscal year. And I'm sure for many other sectors, it's the same. And we are all tasked with how are we either continuing to grow our business in a very, very sustainable way. And this is, I would say, a program that can really help you kind of unravel that challenge that you have through this program. And that probably leads me nicely onto the practical application of the learning. So when we mentioned there a moment ago around the digital transformation assignment, you know, again, you know, for me, what was really important is when you look at, you know, the macro context of the environment, you know, it is very uncertain. It is volatile. And no matter what industry you are in, you know, we're all vying for that sustainable competitive advantage. But what I really, really enjoyed is how you actually deal with that environment. And that is, how do you deal with an environment that is more naturally transient? And there was two real takeaways for me, which was around the digital leadership capabilities learning and also the business model innovation. Because my background actually is I came from an FMCG background and went into technology. And what I understood from the course was when it came to business modeling, I was kind of very much indoctrinated in an FMCG world of linear business modeling. When I came to tech, all of a sudden it was about, how do you design innovation that disrupts operating models and creates new business models? And that for me was a learning journey and a real moment of self-awareness, because I was able to actually articulate where am I in the journey when it comes to understanding in depth what really is disrupting a business model. And you need to understand it in order to be able to actually devise and innovate around that. But then more importantly, that's about the task. It's about doing the job. But secondly, it's the how you're actually going to manage and lead it. And this is where the digital capabilities piece was exceptionally important for me. And it was a real growth moment, actually, both personally and professionally, because the digital leadership capabilities very much focus on, what is that digital leadership mindset that we all need to really start embracing in order to remain relevant in the market. Secondly, around the organizational culture and context. Yes, in Microsoft, we talk about growth mindset all the time, and it's how you move from that fixed to growth. But for me, what the course brought was, how do you actually unlock that growth mindset? And what Tony mentioned a moment ago was, kind of toolkits like design thinking, which are really, really important in today's world where we don't have all of the answers. We will never have all of the answers because guess what? The market moves phenomenally fast. We're in a fast-paced, volatile environment. So having the toolkits to, enable you to kind of unravel the problems and to have the leadership capabilities to bring people with you on that journey, which is sometimes you're flying the plane while you're kind of building it. And we're all in those modes a lot of the time. So what are the capabilities you need to have in order to paint that visionary picture that is really bringing trust, comfort, but also transparency in terms of your style of leadership? I would just probably say the last thing for me in terms of from a career perspective, and Tony just touched on it, and it's just to go back to it. For me, what digital leadership has shown is that, technology is actually only part of the transformation, but really the culture and the leadership are core. So for me, it was a moment of understanding. It's not about doing digital, but it's about being digital.